The series begins with a high school girl named Ji. School. As soon as she enters, she notices that all the students there seem wealthy. She is excited about her new school because it looks grand and luxurious. She tells herself that this is a fresh start for her, and she is determined not to cause any trouble. Previous school because she was a troublemaker who frequently got. She reaches the receptionist and asks for the location of Section A, the class she is assigned to. While waiting, she with disgust. This makes her wonder why, but she decides not to dwell on it. Following the receptionist's directions, Ji arrives at the designated location and is shocked to find an old, run-down building, completely different from the other elegant school buildings. However, she convinces herself that appearances don't matter as long as the inside is decent. But as soon as she steps in, she is taken aback by how dirty and disorganized the place is. She continues walking until she comes across a group of male students. She asks if this is Section A, and one of them, named Kiefer, Ji insists that the receptionist directed her there, but Kiefer rudely tells her to leave immediately. Frustrated by his attitude, he wanted to shove the lollipop she was holding down his throat. However, she calms herself and heads toward another building, which looks clean and well-maintained. She enters a classroom and takes a seat at a desk. Soon after, a girl named Rocky, the class president, approaches her and introduces herself. Ji does the same, mentioning that she is new to the school, but when Rocky checks Ji's paperwork, she realizes that Ji is not registered in this class, but rather in another classroom in Section A. Her tricked her. Feeling irritated, she heads back to Section A. However, once there, she discovers entirely of male students. Still, she doesn't let it bother her. She introduces herself to the teacher and the class. Kiefer, as the class leader, is supposed to welcome her, but instead, he mocks her, making the other students laugh at her. Ji doesn't stay silent. She fires back, making fun of him as well. From that moment, Ji starts experiencing harassment from her classmates. Every time she sits at a desk, the students stop her. When she finally manages to sit somewhere, they start throwing paper balls at her while laughing. She yells at them to stop, but they ignore her. The bullying continues until the lesson ends. She leaves the classroom annoyed. She heads to the school cafeteria, where she meets Rocky, who is sitting with a group of girls. Rocky asks her how things went in Section A, but Ji hides the truth. Welcomed her warmly. The girls don't seem to believe her, as they know that all the students in Section A are troublemakers. At that, Iris speaks up, saying that Section A is a perfect place for Ji. It becomes clear that Ji and Iris know each other, but she leaves the cafeteria and returns to Section A. Once back, she looks for a clean spot to eat, but as soon as she finds a suitable place and takes out her food, the other students take it from her. One of them, named Felix, approaches her and apologizes for what his classmates did. He warns her not to bring out food in front of them again because none of the students in Section A are allowed to enter the cafeteria or buy food from it. Ji is surprised by this, so she pulls out more food from her bag. Felix quickly snatches it from her and reminds her of his warning before walking away. Female teacher enters but refuses to start the lesson because the class is filthy. She tells them that if she finds the classroom in the same condition during the next lesson, she won't teach them for the. Then she leaves. Ji, feeling determined, tries to encourage her classmates to clean the classroom. But to her shock, they all walk out and lock the door behind her, leaving her alone to clean the mess. She yells at them to help her. Classroom window. With no other choice, Ji cleans the classroom by herself, fuming with frustration. Lives with her uncle's wife. When her aunt asks her about her first day at the new school, Ji hides everything that happened and tells her it was a great day. Her aunt then reminds her of the promise she made, and Ji reassures her that she hasn't forgotten. She will not cause trouble with anyone. The next day at school, Ji is surprised when Kiefer hands her a piece of paper with a list of food items that he and the other students like, instructing her to buy them from the cafeteria. Ji refuses, telling him that she is not their servant. Kiefer responds by saying that he doesn't like having her in the class, and if she wants to stay, she must obey his orders. Ji gets angry and firmly tells Kiefer that she won't do what he asked. She also bluntly tells him that from the first moment she saw her attitude and is about to start a fight with her, but their teacher enters the classroom, and all the boys rush toward him because he has brought plenty of food for them. However, when Yuri notices Ji, he becomes visibly upset. Felix informs him that Ji is a new student in their class, without saying a word, leaving Ji confused by his reaction. She asks Felix about him, and he explains that Yuri had been on vacation in Japan visiting his family and had just returned. He also tells her that Yuri and Kiefer are close friends. Meanwhile, Yuri goes to speak with Kiefer about Ji, making it clear that he doesn't like having a girl in their section. Kiefer explains that he had already tried to intimidate her into leaving, but she wasn't scared and stood her ground. Yuri then suggests that they keep harassing her until she gets fed up and leaves. Kiefer agrees. The next morning, Ji has breakfast. On her way, she runs into Angelo, her older cousin, who asks her how things are going at school. She reassures him that she's fine and then asks if he knows anything about Section A, since he was once a student at the same school. Angelo explains that Section A was created specifically for troublemakers and that once a student is However, he also tells her that female students in Section A have a chance to transfer out if they maintain good behavior, avoid causing trouble, and achieve high grades in their subjects. After hearing this, Ji continues her way to school when she comes across a boy fighting 4 other boys and easily defeating them all. As soon as he sees Ji, he calls out to her, introducing himself as her classmate and asking if they can go to school together. Ji agrees, and on the way she learns that his name is Sai. Curious, she asks him why students in her section aren't allowed to enter the cafeteria. C agrees to tell her, but on one condition: she must buy him food. Ji agrees. C then tells her that there used to be a girl named Ella in their section, and she and Kiefer were deeply in love. However, she eventually transferred to another school administration. After her transfer, Kiefer felt like she had changed toward him for no apparent reason. One day, he saw her in the cafeteria kissing another. The entire cafeteria. Since then, the school administration has punished Kiefer and all the students in Section A by banning them from the cafeteria completely. After their conversation, C and G arrive at school and go. However, at the end of the last period, Ji is shocked to find that Kiefer and Yuri were behind this prank. The entire class laughs at Ji before leaving her behind. Ji calls out to C and Felix, reminding them that she always brings them food and that they can't just abandon her in this situation. Feeling guilty, Felix and C help pull her from the desk, but in the process, her clothes tear. C immediately gives her his jacket to cover herself. Furious, Ji storms off, searching for Kiefer until she finally finds him standing with Yuri and a group of other boys. She throws C's jacket in Kiefer's face, and in front of everyone, tells him that from this moment on, she won't stay silent about anything he does to her. Then, she walks away. Later, on her way home, Ji is accompanied by C, who gives her another jacket he had in his bag to cover her torn clothes. She thanks him and says goodbye before entering her house. Meanwhile, as C heads home, he encounters a group of boys, the same ones he fought earlier, who have returned to take revenge on him. At home, Ji sits down for dinner.